Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So, in this episode, I'll be discussing the 1971 British comedy On the Buses, as directed by Harry Booth and based on the hit British TV series of the same name, which originally aired from 1969 to 1973, spanning a total of 74 episodes over 7 seasons. And, in fact, this film is also written by the show's original writers, Ronald, Chesney and Ronald Wolfe. So, I'm actually going to be reviewing 3 films this week. So, On the Buses, Mutiny on the Buses and Holiday on the Buses, which are a set of 3 films that were produced based on this TV series. So, what I wanted to do is do something a little bit different with these reviews and actually add in some clips of the movies. Now, I'm going to do that. They are quite old movies. They're quite obscure as well. Certainly for people that maybe aren't in the United Kingdom, they may not know of On the Buses. So I'm going to give it a blast. I'm going to give it a go. Try and put some kind of the funniest clips I can find in there. We'll see if I get demonetized for it. But I think it's worthwhile on these 3 particular films. Not a lot of people are going to know what it is I'm talking about, to be quite fair. So hopefully it'll kind of give you a bit of a frame of reference to where I am with it and to what I'm doing with it. So fingers crossed it all works out well, because I'm kind of recording this bit before I put the clips in. So we'll see how it goes. But yes, bear with me. Hopefully you'll enjoy the episode. Let me know what you think. I can't do it for all the reviews, because I like to keep the reviews as mine, particularly. But certainly for some of the older classics and things like that, I might be able to kind of put a few clips in. So let me know what you think. Let me know if it works for you. But otherwise, let's crack on. So, the film is a spin-off of the TV series, like I said, and not a continuation. It actually exists in its own canon and forms together with its 2 sequels, 1972's Mutiny on the Buses and 1973's Holiday on the Buses, as I've just said. It forms sort of a series all of its own, if you like, which, whilst having a couple of minor plot holes, for a 1970s British series, is quite a decently rounded trilogy of films, all told.
Come on, you 2. You do that 2 minutes ago. What's the hold up then? Oh, right, no, here we go again. Ooh, you 2 lecturers slow about, honestly. Come on. Get in here and get that bus out. Come on.
But indeed, whilst the film is not a direct continuation of the series, it kind of does feature all of the regular cast and characters from the series, and is very much in line with the comedy and the feel of many of the series episodes. So much so that they feel like a continuation of the series anyway, and unless you've really kind of studied the episodes closely, I doubt that the casual viewer would really even tell.
How can I run a bus service for you 2 sniffing off the clippies? You're like a couple of sex maniacs, you are.
What's the matter, jealous?
I'd a dog like you 2. I could take you to the vets.
Hard luck, Blakey. They must have done the wrong one. Not that you notice.
The minor differences, for example, are such things as the bus colours, which is predominantly red in the film, but green in the series, and the fact that in the film, the characters work in the Town and District bus depot, as opposed to the Luxton and District depot in the series.
Oh, God. You made my day then.
So, back when this film was released, UK TV shows, they didn't have much of a story arc in them at all. I can only really think of maybe Doctor Who that did. Quite a lot of them, the majority of them never did. So Doctor Who's about the only one that I can think of that actually had canon story arcs in them. With most, if not all, of the episodes for series like this being very episodic in nature, with very little reference, if any at all, to any preceding episode or event, such that they can basically be aired in any order, and they frequently are. But this is actually one of the things that makes this film and its sequels different, in that it might be small, but they do share some continuity with each other. The film was indeed that popular in the UK at the time of its release that it actually outgrossed the Bond movie for that year. Diamonds Are Forever. So, the movie On the Buses, as indeed does the TV series, follows the exploits of two randy friends and often very lecherous layabouts who work for a bus company. Stan, as played by Varney, who's a bus driver, and Jack, as played by Bob Grant, who's his conductor. Back, of course, in the days when you actually had such things, of course.
Where are you?
Here.
Oh, go on, come on, let's help her, Jack. Come on, get God, you're in hell of a mess. What's happened? And why are you so behind?
You didn't tell me this was an electric stove.
Well, what's that got to do with it?
I spent 20 minutes trying to light it.
Oh, God.
Stan and Jack pretty much make it their life's ambition to work as least as they possibly can, finding and using any scheme they can to skive, abuse, and take advantage of their employer and their colleagues, especially the Clippies. So Clippies are women conductors who are subject to endless rounds of eyeballing, cattling, and shenanigans from the pair. And especially, again, as well, their inspector, Inspector Blake, as played by Stephen Lewis, who is also subject to their ridicule and antics in their never-ending mission to do as little as is humanly possible.
That's all right. The woman said she'd pop it in for me. We can pick it up on the way back.
We also follow the trials and the tribulations of Stan's family. His mother, known only as Mum, well, we never get to know her name, as played by Doris Hare. His sex-starved sister, Olive, as played by Anna Karen. And Arthur, his lazy, know-it-all brother-in-law, as played by Michael Robbins. So this kind of comes from a time when bus crews were kind of in short supply. The management, at that time of the bus depot decides to hire women drivers, being at a time when this was unusual, okay? Much to the anger of Stan and Jack, who are in dire need for the overtime and fear their relaxed way of life may be in jeopardy.
You won't be doing your extra late shift anymore.
Why not?
My first two women drivers are turned up, look.
Blimey, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yes, you can be sarcastic, mate. They'll be able to do your job properly. And they won't waste time trying to pick up the Clippies either.
By the look of them, I'm not so sure.
Inspector,
Yes, lovey?
I've got a complaint.
Oh, okay.
Indeed, Olive gets pregnant. Apparently her marriage with Arthur isn't as sexless as we have been led to believe. But even then, Stan gets the blame, be it the night he blew up the TV, and then, Arthur had to find something else to do. With the financial situation ever worsening, Stan and Jack then hatch a series of plots, schemes, and practical jokes to get the women drivers fired and restore the balance of power in their favour. So yeah, I must say that whilst the film is smutty, it's sexist, it is chauvinist, and very stereotypical, especially towards the roles and perceived expectations of women. Very much a product of its time, which I will get into in a bit. It is only crude. It's not indecent in any way, and everything is kind of meant with a good-natured jest against what was considered acceptable at the time. As with a great number of kind of British films of the 1950s through the 1970s, it is filled with what we call postcard humour. There's a great deal of sexual innuendo given in that kind of Punch and Judy-esque seaside comedy, which was, and I believe still is if you frequent any one of our numerous seaside resorts, so epidemic amongst a certain kind of postcard, usually kind of featuring a humorous tagline and a rudish picture. Nothing obscene at all, but usually very tacky. But nonetheless, a big part of British culture, for right or for wrong.
She's waiting for me, the little darling.
Here. How do you know her old man ain't there?
Oh, well, she put up the old clear signal, see?
And that's good, isn't it?
Good. I mean, mate, it's better than you think. She's only got 3 pairs.
The film also comes from a time when the unions in the UK were important to a lot of people, and as was job demarcation, especially between the sexes. It was something that a lot of people kind of clinged to, you know? The series itself started in the 60s, and probably one of the most promiscuous eras to date. And the films kind of cling to this, you know? Being released in the early 70s, and as a result, there is a lot of elements that are very cringe as of today. The sexual harassment of work colleagues alone is enough, you know? And I do not condone the behaviour in any shape or form. This film is still very funny. You know, it's light-hearted and very true to the original series in terms of comedic style and its character. It does an excellent job of reigniting the feel and the magic of the series with lots of its trademark slapstick, you know?
Oh, gotcha. I've got you, haven't I?
Oh, hello, Blackie.
Now then, what you up to, eh?
Oh, yeah, I just popped in there to pick up my washing.
You're washing? This is a bus you're supposed to be driving, not a family runabout. How dare you leave your passengers waiting there while your wire fronts are twirling around in the spin dryer?
The antics that Stan and Jack get up to are hilarious, but then so are those of the family. From Stan using the bus route to pick up his laundry, you know, but then getting the bag mixed up, which did actually happen to me on a bus once. The driver actually pulled over and went to go get his washing. To rerouting a bus down a motorway, to get into the stop early so the conductor can have a bit, to Olive being recruited to work in the bus depot canteen, resulting in absolute chaos. There is some absolute great character acting, none more so than from Stephen Lewis, who plays Inspector Blakey, who literally steals the show, as he did in the series, with his trademark laugh and his disdain for the layabout bus crews, but somehow always finds himself falling foul of their tricks.
Right, I'll take that. That's mine down here. I'm keeping that for evidence, mate. You're going up to see the general manager.
Ah, now come on, Blakey, hang about.
He stole my washing! You dirty-minded, filthy swine!
There's also a great sense of family and friendship, for the most part, with all of Stan's family living under the same roof, as actually was quite common in the UK at the time this film was released. And despite the differences and the misgivings that they actually have, they were all there for each other, you know, and they all took care of each other, which is a fantastic quality to see, you know. Indeed, there is also an element of balance within the film, at least on some level. It doesn't go outright to kind of correct the wrongs it makes. As although the men do actually win, the women do actually get the upper hand in a couple of situations, and indeed get the last laugh, as although the men have managed to get them removed from the bus routes as drivers, Inspector Blake has the brainchild idea of making them inspectors too, much to Jack and Stan's disdain, of course. Like many of the British films and TV shows for its time, for most of the film there isn't really much of an overarching plot. Nothing more substantial than what I've really kind of said already, you know? It is mostly a series of incidental events that kind of taking our hapless pair from one calamity to the next. But it does manage to keep it fresh with a minimal amount, I believe, of recycled material from the series. And a unique story that, whilst the film utilises the formula of the series, it does so to good effect and moves along fairly briskly, as a result, never really getting or feeling too stale.
Time of the bus leaving the depot and the name of the driver, which in this case happens to be Butler.
So overall, whilst not always in the best of tastes by today's standards, I still can't help but love this film. You know, it's a part of my history as much as it is a part of other people's history. I know enough to know where the differences lie between what's acceptable now and what it was back in the day. Okay, it has some very stereotypical and outdated views, especially towards women, their emotions, and indeed their driving. And I certainly do not condone their behaviour at all. It is a product of its time and nothing more. But it is intended to be a light-hearted take on the mishaps and the disadventures of two likely lads in the 70s, which for me is still hilarious and absolutely tremendous fun. So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having you here at SciFirst MovieTalk, and we would definitely love to have you back. But most of all, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.
There's nothing like it, you'll agree. Just take a ride upon the buses, because there's plenty you can see.